Hey Prog friends, Brent here to do another quick album review for you. The Great Adventure is the new Neal Morse Band album, and it is sort of a sequel to the last album, which was the Similitude of Dream, which to me was a flawless masterpiece. You know, a follow-up to the Similitude of a Dream couldn't have been easy. You know, doing such a follow-up to such a big album, they really could have set themselves up for failure on a number of many levels. You know, with a follow-up to the Similitude of a Dream, I can see two major possibilities that it could have gone wrong. First thing is repetition. They could have just redone a redo or a rehash of Similitude. And for the second thing, and this is more of a frightening thing to me, this could have simply have fallen short of the previous album, which it doesn't, and Neal Morse and the guys are such, I'm going to say, perfectionists that I don't think that would ever be the case. I'm a big fan of Neal Morse, as well as subsequent bands, Transatlantic, Flying Colors, etc., even Portnoy's bands, and they're such, you know, world-class musicians that I don't think they would ever release a bad album. You know, my question to you, the fans, would you say that the Neal Morse Band has topped themselves with A Great Adventure, or is it more of a on level playing field with a Similitude of a Dream? My opinion is that, sure, The Great Adventure is a really, really good album, definitely, but it doesn't surpass in any way the Similitude of a Dream. The Great Adventure story is based on the story of the Pilgrim's Progress, and this time it follows the path by Joseph, the abandoned son, through the events found in the later part of the book. I'm not going to elaborate too much on the story because I don't want to take it away from this as a single project. Again, it shouldn't be compared to the book. Same as Similitude should not be compared to the first half of the Pilgrim's Progress as well. Overall, the music on The Great Adventure is it's very sweeping, it's very powerful and very dynamic. It's full of promise and is a little more hard-edged and heavier than what might be expected by the Neal Morse Band, and is definitely heavier hitting than the Similitude of a Dream. It's got a lot less pop to it, but at the same time it still contains and maintains those type of poppy songs that we expect from Neal Morse. I'm not going to go into any detail about every specific track because it would just be too long. What I'm going to do is point out many highlights, and there are many of them, so stay tuned and let's go. The album starts off where the previous one kind of left off. We have the throbbing opening and closing sounds that closed out disc 1 of the first album, which is a song called Breath of Angels, and you get the final lines from the last song on the second disc called Long Day Reprise, and it's kind of where the line "Let the Great Adventure Now Begin" comes from. So that's how it really ties into the story from the first one, and they did it in a real ingenious way, I think. And that it'll and of course that is what we get to know as the overture. And after the overture, which is quite lengthy, is done, we have a song called The Dream Isn't Over, which properly introduces the main character of the story and his situation before it leads us into the first single, which was the first video as well, called Welcome to the World. This is a song very comparable to the track City of Destruction from the first album, and the melody and variations of the lyrics are repeated quite a few times throughout the rest of the album. We have a song called A Momentary Change, which features some very wonderful shared vocals, something that's been a very welcome feature on the band's newer work. It adds a lot of color to the overall sound. This is one of the several stunning ballads and features beautiful emotional guitar lines and some great vocals from Bill Hubauer. After A Momentary Change, we have a song called Dark Melody. And this is it's very intense, and it is a very dramatic structure. We have some great Eric Gillette guitar solos, and it has got a most powerful organ-drenched build-up that leads to the song's climax. It is definitely a highlight of the album. So check that one out, everybody. Dark Melody, it's called. Another highlight of the first disc is, of course, the title track. And if you've heard it, you know what the band is firing on all cylinders. And as mentioned before, the vocals on this song shine, and they're always a strong part of any Neal Morse project. Disc 2 starts with a very grand symphonic mini overture that transitions into a pure instrumental prog with some in-your-face bass, some fiery drumming, and some guitar hero riffing, and a very techno synth runs throughout from Bill Hubauer. Next we have a song called Long Ago, and this is really setting us up for the resolution both musically and lyrically in the story. This song features some very interesting rhythms from Mike Portnoy, as well as some stellar synth work again from Bill Hubauer. Another highlight on the second disc is the ominous Fighting with Destiny, and this opens with some absolutely nasty heavy bass and a barrage of drums. It's a tour de force of Prog soloing, and the battle of the soul rages through the rest of the disc from this point on. But there are a few lighthearted moments as well, and this is very evident in the song Vanity Fair and its images of cardboard people and a fashion show. Vanity Fair is a city in the book, just for your little bit of information there, but also based in today's society. It is also, as I'm reminded by my wife, that it is a very rather obnoxious, highly materialistic magazine also. The kind of people that would be infatuated with such things are lightly and amusingly skewered throughout the song, and the song has quite a catchy chorus, so it's quite memorable as well. Now things get dark in a hurry again with Welcome to the World 2, as Mike Portnoy takes over the lead vocals for the first time before the slightly modified chorus is brought in. The riffs on this song are very heavy. They're almost doomy in nature as the song continues, and it is highlighted by some killer solos by Eric Gillette. Once again, the dark and heaviness of the album continues and grows throughout the next few songs, and are highlighted especially in the element of fear and the Great Despair. The Great Despair is also noteworthy for the vocal performance of Eric Gillette. It's a very brooding feeling to it as well. I would say hands down it's the best on any Neal Morse album Band, and I would hope that people don't take offense to that because it's not Neal singing, but wow, is it a intriguing song. I think everybody should do themselves a favor and listen to it. At times it is chilling, and intensity and the emotion and the impact of the band just reaches out on this track. And that's why I would consider it the best on the album as well. And the album concludes with two songs, Freedom Calling and A Love That Never Dies. And as they go together and form the final chapter of the album, they must be talked about together. Freedom Calling is very much a transitional piece, bridging the darkness and the pain of the world with the freedom and peace of embracing the love that never dies and the hope and salvation that it entails. My final thoughts is we shouldn't compare this so much to the Similitude of a Dream. The Neal Morse Band have more than proven that they were up to the task of creating a new and just as powerful and just as masterful of an album. The Great Adventure is more than worthy of standing on its own for sure. And as a follow-up album, I think it's safe to say they pulled off the follow-up album without a doubt. Just in my opinion, it's not quite the same caliber as the Similitude of a Dream. As a final rating, I'm going to give this album an 88%. I'd like to know what everybody else thinks of this album, how they think it compares to the Similitude of a Dream, if you like it better than that, or if you like this one more. Let me know. I'd love to start a conversation with music fans out there, so let's get ahead and do that, and we'll catch each other soon. Thanks. Good night, everybody. Thanks for your time.